Member of the Parliament of Kenya, Honorable Pauline Lenguiris is joining us from Nairobi. Welcome to the second annual Digital Power of Women Conference. Thank you for joining us today, MP Lenguiris.
Thank you so much. I'm also glad to be here, join you.
Thank you. Can you tell us a little bit about Kenya and Samburu, where you're from, and the role of women from there?
Thank you so much. I represent a community called Samburu from the northern part of Kenya. Samburus are a pastoralist community who lives in the northern part of the country. And majorly, their livelihood is pastoralism. They practice pastoralism. They keep animals like camels, cows, goats. That is the main source of livelihoods. Initially, it is a very traditional community where women majorly are submissive, and women are not given chance to go to school. So it's a close community that has a very strong tradition, where initially, many years ago, the communities were practicing female genital mutilation. And we also had a few students going to school, and especially when there's a chance to take a child to school, normally they give a chance to a boy child, and girls are left behind, so that in few years when they grow, before they even reach their maturity, they are given out to a man, and then the family gets in return some animals. So we have lived for many years in that kind of situation, but we are glad now that women are coming up, even in terms of decision making. Majorly from our community, most of the women are not involved in decision making, even decisions that are affecting their own lives, and even the economic activity decisions, the education of their children, even their own decisions that matters, even their productive health. So majorly, most of the decisions are normally done by men, according to our communities. But of recent years, because of the trainings, because of a few women who have gotten the opportunity to go to school, because of even the evangelization through the churches which have established in our areas, a bit of some girls have gotten the opportunity to go back to school, and they study. And when they came back, like myself, we go back and educate the others. And we have tried to create a space for ourselves. Now, slowly, we are seeing women engaging in political leaderships. Even at the lower levels, at the village levels, we are encouraging our women to come out, even in their economic activity, to be in charge of themselves, even do some activities to get their economic power. Because sometimes when you don't have the economic power, women tend to be submissive to men because they will depend on them entirely for all their living. So now we are doing so many activities at the community levels to want to encourage our women to take their children to school, and especially the girls. We are also educating them to try to discourage the traditional practices that tend to take women back, especially the female genital mutilation, early child marriages, women staying behind in terms of political leaderships and decisions. So we are glad now we are doing those things. And women from Kenya have really engaged in this kind of sensitization campaigns. And the number has really grown up. You look at the parliament today, we have significant number of women who are being elected. They are in the leadership positions because of the elections, and they can make decisions that can even help other women who are still living behind with the communities that are still behind in terms of giving the women the opportunities.
Thank you for sharing that with us, MP Pauline. I want to ask, because you brought mutilation, child marriage, and also economic empowerment. This is the first year the African Union has officially joined the G20, and the presidency is going to be held by South Africa next year. What does that mean to Kenya in terms of really addressing these issues you just mentioned?
We are hopeful that through this kind of engagement that the country is going to get support, and the support is going to trickle down, especially the communities that have lagged behind because of their economic power. Because I'm sure when our women get support, women can be in charge of themselves. They can be in charge of their lives. They can be in charge even of their children and families. We still have a lot of child marriages. We still have even teenage pregnancies. Those are situations that are still pulling with the women back. So we hope that through this engagement, we are going to get a thank you.
Absolutely, MP Pauline. And when you say the girls don't have enough opportunities, we have to look at what are the governments doing to keep the girls in school? Because that's so crucial for them to get the education. And you mentioned earlier, usually families choose to give the boys the education and they don't prioritize the girls. This is a problem. And what are some things you think, as a community within Kenya, can do, especially in these rural areas, to bring the women up?
Yeah, I think the steps that we can do is making sure that there is access. Because in most of the rural areas, the students cannot access education because the facilities are not there. So one of the things that we are doing, especially pushing the government now that we are in the leadership, is to ensure that even the places that where there are no schools, the government put up schools. We're also encouraging the partners, those who are the well-wishers, and also the organizations that are working within our setups to put up schools so that parents cannot have any reasons why not to take their children to school. We are also trying to do through the legislation to ensure that the government provides pre-education, especially to the lower education, the pre-level, primary level education to all. I also use the government forces, like the government structures, to ensure that no child is left behind. So I personally, and plus also the other members of parliament and the women, we have done this, especially in the marginalized areas, because you see the development in our countries, especially the developing countries, is different. It's not at the same level. The areas that have developed better than the others. So in where, especially the pastoralist communities, because of their movement, today they are here, they move to another level tomorrow. So they even migrate with their children and forget about the schools. So to avoid this, we are trying as women representatives, women who are in parliament now, in the small kitty that we have, we pay for the most vulnerable children. So we ensure that they are retained in school and we pay for their school. Another challenge is also the sanitary towels. You know, sanitary towels is like a privilege in Kenya. Most of the parents, you know, it's a biological process that every woman will, especially in their reproductive age, they will go through on every month. They will need a sanitary towel during their menstrual periods. But we have realized that in Kenya, most of the parents don't understand the importance. So our girls in school face a lot of challenge. And during this period that they will require sanitary towels and it's not provided, they tend to remain away at home, maybe for a week every month. So you can imagine a child missing school every month for a week. So every week they will miss, for a month they will miss school. And when the boys, girls, and continuing with their school, those ones remain at home. And sometimes they are frustrated, they are humiliated, and they even tend to drop out of school. So we are also encouraging our partners. Sometimes we even fundraise so that we ensure that we give the sanitary towels to all girls that have reached their reproductive age that they will require the sanitary towel, so that we ensure that no girl will drop out of school, or we ensure that we retain all of them at school. Thank you.
You shared some very important information about taking action towards keeping the girls in school, which is very important. Thank you so much for sharing your insight and knowledge with us today, MP Pauline. And thank you for joining us. And we look forward to staying in touch with you.
Thank you so much. And I'm also glad to have shared this information with you. Thank you so much.
Nadia Hansen is a digital transformation executive, helping state and local governments across the globe reimagine service delivery for citizens and employees. Nadia, we are excited to have you here today. Please welcome to the second annual Digital Power of Women Conference.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me, Shanali.
Yes, I want to get started with some of the questions. Nadia, can you share what your role as a digital transformation executive at Salesforce is like?
Sure thing. So essentially what my role is helping governments reimagine services. So we recognize what needs to be done to accelerate some of the digital delivery, some of the digital services, and really modernize constituent delivery to make it more accessible, to make it more inclusive, to make it more citizen-centric. So for instance, my team and I, we work very closely with government agencies to build digital platforms that serve everyone, regardless of their ability, regardless of their background.
Absolutely. And when you say you have worked in the government and now working at Salesforce to build these services, how are these companies doing AI governance, the value-based governance, ethics behind how they put these processes together? And in that context, how is Salesforce addressing that?
Governance is such a huge topic just on its own, whether it's data governance and now artificial intelligence governance, right? Because a lot of companies, even government agencies, public, private sector organizations, they're all thinking about, well, how do we embrace this new revolution, this new era? And so from a Salesforce perspective, we're very big on ethical AI governance. And there's really 4 guiding principles. It's around trust, it's around accountability, it's around responsibility, and then transparency. So really these principles ensure that the development and deployment of AI or new technologies are really aligned with ethical values, especially when it comes to accuracy, it comes to fairness, it comes to privacy, respect for individual rights.
I think that's very important. And I want to ask you, as a leader in the digital transformational space, Nadia, what advice would you give to young women entering this field, and what guiding values have shaped your journey?
Yeah, I'm a huge proponent. I have 2 daughters myself, one 16-year-old, they're both teenagers. And essentially, I encourage young women to stay curious. You need to build a network of mentors and allies. A lot of women, for some reason, are intimidated by anything to do with computer science. I think people always feel, oh my gosh, I'm getting into tech. That means it's going to be heavily technical, or I'm going to have to program or become a software engineer. You really need to meet a lot of different people because tech is so big, especially now with AI investments that are being made. There's low code, no code technologies. Like, you don't need to actually know how to code. You just need to be able to produce an outcome that people are looking for. So I do feel this field needs more diverse voices, and being part of that change is incredibly rewarding for me. And my guiding values have been resilience, it's empathy, it's the courage to push boundaries. And so it's really essential to lead with those values and never lose sight of the positive impact you can make in this. We're in the best age where we never had access to any of this, but anybody can access it from anywhere at any time.
I think that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that, Nadia. And with that said, you said representation is important, and you definitely are one of those leaders I feel like inspire so many young girls, women of color, girls, to be like, hey, I can be that too. I can work in this tech company, or I can work for that company. I can be this position. So what does power of women mean to you in that context?
To me, it means resilience, it means innovation, it means collaboration. I had my former boss say to me one time, you can't be what you don't see. And so I feel like women bring unique perspectives, and their leadership can truly transform industries. I mean, at Salesforce, for example, we have a strong support from our male allies who really advocate, women's growth and talent development. Recently, one ally that I worked with initiated a leadership mentorship program, which was specifically aimed at developing female leaders in tech. So having that intention from your organization, your sponsor, your mentor is so important. And then making sure that women have the resources and have the encouragement, because sometimes that's all we need. We need somebody to say, you know what, you can do it, in order to be able to advance. So I feel talking to both our male allies or female allies, you can really make a huge impact by promoting some of those inclusive workspaces and advocating for women in meetings, right? It's who is advocating for you when you're not in the room. Find those people. I think that would be like my biggest advice to anybody.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Nadia. How can we actually increase the male allyship, especially for women in leadership in the tech sector?
I see one is don't be afraid to ask. I feel sometimes this is my perspective. We have the superwoman complex. And what I mean by superwoman complex is we love to be the best at home. We love to be the best moms, the best sister, the best daughter, the best wife, then the best worker. And so I feel like we have the superwoman complex where we have to be amazing at everything. When you look at the stats, sometimes we tend to fall short in applying for jobs where we think we don't qualify. As an example, when I used to be the CIO for Clark County in Las Vegas, Nevada, we would open up a position for business analyst or even like a managerial position. most of the applications would be from men who say, oh yeah, I can do all of these things without even having experience. So let's say they meet maybe 60% of the requirements. Women, I've noticed, unless they meet 110% of the job requirements, they don't apply. And so I feel sometimes we fall short on ourselves because we're so busy trying to be perfect. So I'm like, I missed this one requirement in the job description. I probably am not going to be able to be selected. I feel like we need to stop doing that. Go for the big job, go for the opportunity, talk to people who are in that role. It doesn't matter if it's a male or a female, just go and talk to people. I love when women reach out to me on LinkedIn and they just be like, hey, I just want to chat. I'm trying to advance my career and be in a role similar to you. Great, do that. I mean, we're in such a unique environment right now where we have so much access to people, which we never had before. Don't be shy about it. I think one is don't be afraid to ask, and two, go for the role. I feel like don't fall yourself short. Like you're the only one who's stopping yourself, and stop comparing yourself to other people because your journey is different than everybody else.
Wow, that was so inspiring. Thank you so much, Nadia, for sharing your beautiful words and wisdom with us and joining us today.
Thank you so much. It's such an honor to be here. I really appreciate you and what the foundation is doing.
You were named the vice president, and you have worked at the UN before, and you brought a lot of experience. Yet you also faced some barriers, like any other woman around the world in the political sector. Can you share your experience and how you handled it, and insights you can share with the viewers?
Yes. First of all, you have to have confidence in yourself, believe in yourself. You have to have the competence. You have to have the image, good image, which is integrity, but at the same time humility. You have to be very tactful, which is diplomacy, and you have to know. You have to be focused. You really need to have to be focused and rise above all the criticisms. Focus on what you feel is in the best interest of the country. Women shy away from politics. Women, most of the illiteracy rates, you have about 60 to 40% or 60 to 30% women, majority of women live in the rural areas, and most of them don't have that level of education to be able to champion the cause of women. But they're very, very strong. Women are, even in the rural areas, they have voices. All they need are the opportunities. And people must see you as a leader, as somebody who is working or standing for the interests of the greater good. The other barriers is the voice. It's very limiting. You have perhaps one. We were 5 in cabinet compared to 30 men. So you really have to be assertive in terms of when issues are raised and they want to sweep them under the carpet. You have to just stand up, be persistent in whatever you do, and you must always do your homework. You must have evidence, always researching, knowing what is important, knowing how to argue, make good arguments, how to persuade men to come over. And also you have to, some of the barriers are, you have to try to break their networks. They always have networks like male club. So you really need to find a way to create, to enter that space and to show them that you are there to support them. You are there to support a common cause, which is the advancement of the country. How I managed to overcome the tackles, the barriers, is just as I said. Always knowledge is very important. You have to be knowledgeable. You have to have the skills that you, as a leader, you have to be convincing. And also you have to demonstrate a respectable image. which is integrity, which is focused, and which is also the person leader should be measured. You have to listen a lot. So you listen a lot. I could have brought many women in the political process, mainstream, but when it comes to local elections, the political parties don't nominate many women in committees. And of course, by extension, they would not compete in elections. So what you need in that case is just to convince the political parties to ensure that you have gender balance in the political parties, and that you as an individual, as a vice president, has the opportunity to be able to support some of those few women who are nominated by their some of the tips that I have employed to stay as a citizen, as a respectable and engaged citizen, and as an engaged leader, trying to bring more women. The other possibility is to mentor many young people. You mentor them, you encourage them. The story, I share the story with many people, many young people around the world, wherever I go. And the message is nothing is ever too late. If you put your heart to it, you can achieve.
What a beautiful message. I got goosebumps, Fatoumata, when you said some of the things you shared. When you were 16, you got married.
Yes,
It's a huge problem in Africa, too, in the continent of Africa, child marriage.
yes, it did.
And it is. And you are actually such an inspiration, such a strong figure. 16, had 4 kids, yet you had a desire, so you went out and you pursued it. To the point you became the vice president. I mean, there's no other better way to show that if you set your mind to something and work for it, you can achieve it.
Sure.
Absolutely phenomenal. And with that, I brought up a few things. Why are there not enough girls, qualified girls, to take up these political positions? It's because they don't have the infrastructure when they are girls to get the proper education, get the proper mentorship, the financial support. But you said those points, if we can actually provide that, that would be the best way to overcome the barriers. And what are those are solutions. What do you think? G20 is focusing on this right now as well. Women and girls are a prioritized topic. What is one of the solutions you suggest that we can actually tackle the barriers globally right now? What's happening? Women are not allowed to go into political spaces.
Well, one of the strategic recommendation would be to have a fund to encourage women to enter politics, to participate in politics, because politics is money. And no matter how hard you work, you need to have support, financial support, to be able to go into politics. It's just like serving. It's a very commendable job because you're serving a nation. You want to serve your nation. You want to contribute to the well-being of people, which is beyond yourself as an individual. So it depends on how you go about it. So globally, if the global network, global leaders are willing to support a global fund for aspiring and competent women who want to enter politics, that will be one way. Secondly, training. They need a lot of, no matter how competent you are, if you want to go into politics, you definitely need transformative leadership training at all levels. You could have it. There are so many institutions that now emerging to educate women in different areas of leadership. Also, it has to be holistic because of the way our continent is growing into turbulent crises like wars and conflicts. They also have to be holistic in whatever they're learning. It has to be thematic, like in peace and security, very important. Women don't create wars, but they bear the brunt of wars. So, and women, because they have that empathy and they are the mothers and carers and caregivers, they are also political and economic actors. They don't have the feelings of men, male feelings. Like for them, there's empathy. They want peace, they want security. And all they want is just to live decent and dignified lives. So that is recommendations that I would like to have. I would also want them to involve more women in the global summits, where women can leverage, like the foundation, the Women of Powers Foundation can support the participation of many women around the world, both ages, to come and listen and have their voices heard at the level of the global summit, because global is usually political. They come, they talk, and they take pictures, and thus they go. Whereas when women participate, they talk about their own issues. They talk about social issues. They talk about community issues. They talk about development, things that affect the lives of people, rather than just the handshakes, the few panels, and also the photo shoots.
Thank you so much, Fatimata. I think everything you shared is so valuable. You said about women need to have the financing, but
Somewhere, somehow, something can be done, because a woman from nothing can create so many things. You give a woman $5 for fish money, she will buy something you would think is about $50 because of the creativity and the incentive, always thinking of the greater good. How do I do to manage it? So they also need to support international organizations like the Power of Women organization. They need to set up some fund to support women organizations that are supporting the empowerment of women, to allow them to go beyond their offices and go into the field and see whatever investments they make, to monitor, to evaluate, to look at the impact of what they are investing on, so that at the end of the day, they can also report back to the G20.
I think this is so amazing what you just shared, Fatimata. It truly is that. It comes down to, if women had money, you can actually solve so many problems, including the climate change, if women had access to money. And that's one of the biggest topics at W20. How can we ensure women have access to funds to be entrepreneurs, to get an education, to get public procurements, contracts from the government? Because less than 2% of women are accessing these right now. These are startling numbers, and we have to put money and funds, financial backing, to improve the status of women, so that can actually help everybody. And I think having leaders like you, Fatimata, is so important for girls, because what you cannot see, you cannot be. But if you can see, you can be. You have broken so many barriers that you have made it so important. And thank you for sharing your wisdom, your confidence, your insights. It was really amazing to listen to you and talk to you. And thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me, and wish you all the best.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Honorable Nusrat Hanji. MP Nusrat is a dynamic leader and an advocate for social justice, gender equity, and human rights. As a young member of the Parliament of Tanzania, she has been a vocal champion for marginalized communities, pushing for exclusive policies and empowering women and youth. She's a strong advocate to increase the participation of female leaders in political spaces, and we are truly honored to have a young female leader join the Power of Women Digital Conference this year. Please, MP Hanji, welcome to Power of Women.
Thank you very much for having me. It's my pleasure. Seeing myself at that group of very accomplished women around the world, I'm truly humbled, and it's my pleasure. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, MP Nusrat. We want to start this interview by learning a little bit about Tanzania. We want to find out where you're from, about your homeland.
Okay. Tanzania is one of the countries that form the East African community, and we nickname it as the land of Kilimanjaro, Serengeti, and Zanzibar. People know those places, but that is Tanzania. And we are like 61 million, 1 million women and 30 million men. And most of our people in my country, Tanzanian people are very beautiful people and very kind, very nice. It's a very good tourist destination for those people who want to visit Zanzibar. Maybe someday you'll find they are very nice people, and we speak Swahili. So I'll use this opportunity also to greet everyone in Swahili. We say hamjambo. In English means how are you? Tanzania has the only female president for the whole African continent for now. For now, we hold that privilege, and for us, we feel privileged. But also Tanzania, we have president of IPU, Honorable Dr. Tulia Ackson, who is also a speaker of the Tanzania National Assembly, our speaker, and I happen to be one of her mentors in politics. So welcome to Tanzania. It's a very good place. I represent the central zone of Tanzania, the region called Singida. It's on the central zone geographically. Yeah, so that is home. Tanzania is home. Everyone is welcome.
That's really beautiful. And thank you for sharing a little bit about Tanzania holding the place for having a female president right now, which is remarkable. And I want to get to the next question. Before talking about the president and Dr. Tulia, the Speaker of the House, you're also a mother. So would love to hear, you're a leader, you're young, you're in the political space, and you're a mother. So please tell us a little bit about the balance of being a politician and a mother and how you balance everything.
Yeah, I'm a mom of two, and I'm not married, so I'm a single mom. That is even difficult. Raising my two girls alone, it's difficult, and striking a balance between my family, my kids, and my job. It's really a piece of work, and I'm trying to do my best. And honestly, those two girls are very important part of my life. So every time I have a chance to mother them, I'm from the village, so I travel a lot to the community that I lead as of my job, and also because I'm a member of international different parliamentary network and chapters. So I also travel the world a lot. So every time I get a chance to be a mother to my kids, then I be a mother to my kids, and I try to be as present as possible. And it's not easy, because I don't know for you, but we as political women, political leaders, we need to have time to serve our people, and the families we have also need us. So it's about playing my part. And most of the time, they're still young. So the older one is 11 and the younger one is 7.
You're juggling a lot, and being a mother is not easy. And I think this is a very great point to actually bring up. A woman juggles multiple roles, and you handling this role, I want to talk to you about, as a mother, as a young politician, what is it like being a part of the Tanzanian parliament?
Yeah, in the Tanzania National Assembly, I am one of the very few MPs. Yes, we say that it's a very few, because it's a very small number. The full house is 393, but we are very few, like 196, somewhere there. So it's a very small number. And we have our community as a women community in the Parliament of the United Republic of Tanzania. We have the Tanzania Women Parliamentary Group, that we have our leaders as other MPs leaders who lead us on that group, specific group for women. And we have mentorship programs for helping us. It's intergenerational concerning politics, and also seniority in politics, That's why we call it intergenerational. So we have other MPs who stayed in the parliament for more than 15 years, more than 20 years. So for us who are young MPs, it's our first time in the parliament, including me. So we have a community whereby we feel safe to share with our other MPs who support us as in mentorship program. And also having a speaker of the house as a female speaker, she's very supportive. I'm telling you, maybe this is something that the global community doesn't know. She's doing more than what she's supposed to do, because she has a job description as a speaker of the house, but she's doing more than that to us as MPs who happen to be in the house. So sometimes she even trains us. She come to us, we organize meetings, seminars, sessions, workshops that she's there attending as a part and parcel of Tanzania Women Parliamentary Group. So for me, I feel very safe. It's a safe place for doing politics in the Parliament of the United Republic of Tanzania as a young woman. I can say maybe we have one challenge, which is not a challenge that much. We have political differences. I think every country has a political differences. We can differ, but when it comes to issues concerning women, we all the time come together, because that is a safe place that we can speak out our issues freely, regardless of the political differences. Then from there, when we go out of that specific meeting for women, then we can go back to our political party. It's something, it's challenging, but we are trying. And the Speaker of the House, she's trying to be fair most of the time. She's trying to look for the ground whereby everyone is free. As the matter of, if it's the matter of something that it's important for any other MP, female MP, we come together as one. So we also have unionship for young girls MPs, that we support each other in a different ways. Mind you, in my country, we have special seats representation for young women from our political party. I wish to continue staying in the parliament, because I have bad space to be given that I'm a female representative or female MP.
Thank you for sharing. That's truly inspiring to hear how you spoke of Dr. Tulia, the Speaker of the House of Tanzania. To hear from another female leader, I think MP Nusrat, this is exactly what we need right now. Especially female leaders need other women supporting them along with men. And I really like how you said that it's a balance. We're talking about half of the population being women, and women give birth to everybody, both men and women. And it's really important that there's solidarity, unity. This is absolutely inspiring, and a lot of female leaders and leaders in general can learn from. I think this is a best practice we can definitely highlight. And with that, I have another question for you. We are advocating for more women in decision-making roles globally. And to see women like you, it's absolutely incredible. And we just discussed the progress we are witnessing in Tanzania as well. When it comes to global leadership, how do you see your contributing with your work within the context of Tanzania?
Yeah, in Tanzania, we currently we amended the laws so that we can make sure that there's a nice environment for female leaders to participate in politics. We don't have numbers that, we don't have laws that force political parties to have nominations, to force them to have maybe a certain % of women nominations. Because first we have to make sure that women, the community of women, they are given capacity building so that they can go for politics. Because in my country, we don't have independent candidates. Every politician, every member of parliament has her or his political party. So it's political party's job to recruit more women and to make sure that women are participating in politics, so that you can have them running for positions and getting into decision-making organs. So we changed the law. So there's a political will to change the laws and the regulations so that we can provide a safe place for women to participate in politics. But talking about Tanzania position in women participation in politics, I see my country as one of the very good examples. And this is to say right now, things will be very different next year, because next year we'll have an election. We will have our general election. It's after 5 years, we're having general election. Then I'm hoping to see more women in politics, in political positions, including in the parliament. We have more women MPs in the constituencies because we see the president, she's leading very well. We see the Speaker of the House. We have ministers, female ministers in the very sensitive ministries, and they are doing great. So seeing them being trusted with that position and deliver to the best, it also gave us confidence to go out to people and tell them they are doing a very good job and I'm one of the kind. So it's one of the narrations. We're excited to go out there and tell the good stories about women in Tanzania who are doing a very good job. So as my country, we are expecting to lead Africa as we are leading right now with the only female president across the continent. So we are expecting to increase the numbers.
It's truly inspiring, MP Nusrat, even talking to you, just reading about what Tanzania is doing. Of course, there's a lot of work to be done, but we have to always acknowledge the progress. The progress is so important because that means things are changing. And I want to go back to something you mentioned earlier about you feel safe. And I think that's what female leadership brings to the table, to the citizens of the country. When we have more female leaders, we feel more safe. There's that sense of security. And the next question is, a lot of women face a lot of problems with media, especially in politics, when they run for these positions. And this is one of the biggest issues women face and why they don't even go run for political positions, because there's so much criticism, very harsh criticism for female leaders compared to male leaders. When they're running specifically for political positions, to protect female leaders from the media, reporting false misinformation reporting, female leaders usually get judged on the clothing versus how they look as opposed to males. So especially in the Western world. So wanna hear if you have any initiatives that can actually be adopted globally.
Yeah, it's very true. You elaborated it very well. We face challenges. There are several challenges that women who are in politics face in our community, including media, including social, including cultural norms. We have those ones. Also, we have other challenges. We have political underrepresentation, because if you don't have enough number of women who represent in a certain decision-making organization, then you won't have the voices of the group that is underrepresented. So we have underrepresentation as a challenge, because you cannot bring out the voices of women and other minority groups that are in the community. So mentioning about media, I think we can come together with the media. It's a matter of mentality change. That's why I'm always telling my fellow leaders who are female that when we have our discussions, I'm telling them that when you are appointed as or you are elected as a leader, you as a female, you have two roles. You have to know that you have to perform twice your roles, because when you go into office, they will only tell you about the job description and the objectives of your role. But as a female leader, if I don't do well, and the community will judge me culturally, they will judge me because I'm a woman, regardless of how many men went to the same office and failed. They will just connect it with, we are not capable of leading.
MP Nusrat, thank you. I want to touch upon one more question before we close. There are a lot of men in these leadership positions, holding these positions, and there's a lot of men who's actually making the way for other women to come. They're the ones who are in the power positions that's helping and giving a chance for more women to come. And we need more men like that. What do you have to say? What can we tell them? Because we are not here to compete with them or take their positions or be the majority. We are here to bring balance in leadership, so there are more perspectives involved in finding solutions. So what is a message you, as a young female leader, have to share with all the men, the community, to support?
Yeah, the message I can give all men is, we need you. We are not competing with you. It's just there's a certain background up that made us reach this point. but no one is trying to compete. No, there's no any woman in the world that is trying to compete with a man. We have our biological differences. They have their own. We have our own needs. They have their own. But we are all the same. It's not like I'm a lesser human if I'm a female. It's not like you're more of a human if you're a man. So let's coexist. I can be a good leader despite of my gender, despite of my biological different. And you can also
Thank you. Thank you for that incredible message for everybody that's watching. And as we come to a close, MP Nusrat, thank you so much for being here with us. Do you have any messages you would like to share with our audience about what you're working on or how we can all support you with what you're doing?
Okay, so first of all, I would like to thank the organizers and seeing me as I can share my own personal story with other female leaders out there so that they can be inspired and do something they want to do, maybe learn from me. And this is actually a very small part of my political career journey. It's a very small part. I'm planning to, maybe next year I'll write a book because I tried to put it very short. There's so many things. This position that I have now, it wasn't handled to me. There's a lot of things that we didn't share that we carry from our journey. We face different challenges. Everything in life has challenges. So it's also part of the journey. And please keep on engaging us on different issues. If we have something that we can share as parliamentarians, we can share, including creating very useful laws that support participation of women in decision making, because we are the lawmakers. And on this note, I would like to tell the global leaders on the G20 that empowering young women in leadership is crucial for achieving sustainable development and fostering inclusive economies.
Thank you so much, MP Nusrat, for joining us.
Thank you very much. Karibu sana.
What is important is that the G20 member countries should reach a consensus on human rights issues. They have to be united on trying to find ways to end the wars that are currently taking place in the world. What is important is that the G20 member countries should reach.
Thank you for this interview. I'm so happy to be with you. To anyone afraid to speak up, I would say fear is natural, but silence is really dangerous. Silence allows injustice to persist. When I started my journey on defending human rights, on defending expression rights and women's rights, when I founded my organization, Women Journalists Without Chains, and when I started the peaceful revolution against the dictator, I knew the risks. I faced the threats, intimidation, and even the violence. But I didn't stop. Silence was never an option for me and will never be an option. Every time we speak out, we weaken tyrannies and oppression. Change begins with courage, often sparked by a single voice. And you should be this voice. You should know that your voice matters. And the world needs to hear it. Your people needs to hear it. Your courage could be the spark that ignites change for someone else too. about the values guiding me. The values guiding me are a commitment to freedom, justice, democracy, equality, resilience, hope, and a deep understanding of history. Freedom and justice to me are both right and responsibility, requiring us to speak up, even in hardship. Resilience is crucial, especially in dark time. It's about rising after every setback. History also give me a lot of courage and a lot of knowledge. History teaches that every revolution faces counter revolutions. Yet those who keep dreaming and keep struggling for their freedom and justice ultimately prevail. We will not stop until freedom, justice, and the rule of law become real realities. I believe change is possible, and the will of people will prevail. And a free, just, peaceful future is within our reach. This is what gives me the inspiration and the courage to continue my belief that absolutely the victory will be with those fighters for freedom and justice. So, knowing that each act of courage brings us to a world of democracy and nonviolence. So, I didn't stop, and I will not stop, because every act in this path for supporting people, for helping people, is really matter and really creates a great change. My message to the global community about women's rights. Women's rights are integral to the larger fight for freedom, justice, and democracy. Women today are not only fighting for their own rights, but are leading battles against dictatorship, against occupation, against climate change, against inequality. Advancing women's rights is essential for a just and peaceful world. Empowered women create stronger economies, healthier societies, and resilient democracies. So I call on everyone, government, institutions, NGOs, and individuals, to commit to environments where women's voices are valued, their rights protected, and their potential realized. Supporting women means upholding humanity core values. A future where women are free, equal, and empowered is one where freedom, justice, and democracy truly thrive. The unity of female leaders. The unity of female leaders is a powerful force. When we women from diverse backgrounds join together, we bring unique strengths that amplify our impact, challenging norms and driving a great transformative change. Women led efforts to tackle global issues like inequality, peace, democracy, and environmental justice by standing united. We women inspire others and send a clear message. When we women unite, we drive progress and uplifting communities. This unity empowers women to address systematic challenges, push for reforms, and demand accountability, which is a very important thing. And accountability is in our core struggle. It showcases the resilience and vision of women, proving that together there are no limits to what we can achieve. Women who inspired me, first, of course, my mother. My mother, who taught me a lot how to be strong, how to be clever, and how to don't afraid from others. And in addition to my great mother, I have inspired by countless women in Yemen, Syria, Palestine, in Africa, in Latin America. Those women who are struggling worldwide, who, despite immense challenges, war, oppression, and societal barriers, and religious barriers, continue to raise their voices for freedom, dignity, democracy, equality, for fighting poverty. These unrecognized heroes remind me of our collective power to create change. There is another woman also I inspired a lot from her, the Queen of Sheba, Bilqis. She is the symbol of wisdom in Yemeni history. Led with strength and inclusion, valuing her people's voices. Her legacy fuels my belief in power of women and the power of people. That inspired me a lot to continue fighting for a world where freedom, justice, and democracy are rights for all. The quote that I can tell you is, okay. We are the voice of the voiceless, the strength of those oppressed, and the unstoppable force building a world where freedom, dignity, justice, equality, democracy, and the rule of law are the bright and destiny for every human being on the planet, not privileges granted by the few. We must forge the best future that everyone deserves, and we will not rest until this vision is reality. About digital space. Okay. The digital space is a powerful platform for unity, advocacy, and global change. And we witnessed that in Arab Spring. We used it a lot in our battle against the dictatorship. It amplifies voices, connects peoples across borders and within borders, and turns individuals' actions into a collective force for change, for communication, for love and peace. However, we must guard against its misuse, especially from the governments. Governments increasingly exploit digital tools for surveillance, censorship, and spread disinformation. We need to reclaim digital platforms as a space of truth, of freedom, as a space of the voice of people. And we must fight disinformation, hate speech, and we must demand and call and work for transparency in the tech companies, accountability, and ethical standards in the digital governance.